Picking up my 3-year-old son Leo from preschool/kindergarten, I ran into the attacker, later revealed as a hired killer, engaging in a random act of violence, later revealed as targeted attack, swinging a knife wildly. To protect Leo, I was stabbed over a dozen times and collapsed in a pool of blood. David Thompson sent the attacker to the police station and called in the best medical team to save us. Before going into the operating room, I anxiously asked how Leo was. But he told me, his eyes red, that Leo had lost too much blood and passed away on the way. I fainted from grief, forgetting to mention I was immune to anesthetic, and as I just regained consciousness, I heard David Thompson and the doctor talking. "Mr. Thompson, the child could have been saved. Why did you give up on him? He was your own son, he was only 3. I never intended for him to live. His birth was a mistake from the start. He even dared to ask me for a birthday gift. Was he trying to claim the company inheritance? Jessica and I have a child who's turning 18 soon. I promised her I would give the company to our child as an 18th birthday party/coming-of-age celebration gift, and I won't let anyone compete with him. It turned out the marriage I thought was happy was nothing but an inferno. If that's the case, I'll give them what they want." The doctor looked at my heavily bleeding abdomen and sighed. "I just examined her. The madam is severely injured, but thankfully her uterus is saved. She might have a chance to be a mother again in the future." "Who gave you permission to save her uterus?" "Remove it completely, immediately. Make sure she can never get pregnant again." The doctor's eyes widened in shock. He urgently said, "Mr. Thompson, you'll be handing the company over to Jessica's son in 3 days. Even if the madam gets pregnant later, it won't interfere with anything. She just lost a child, and you want to remove her uterus? Is it necessary to be so ruthless?" "David though." Thompson gently stroked my face, but his words were utterly heartless. "Allowing her to give birth to that illegitimate child was my biggest mistake. I can't believe that bastard dared to ask me for a birthday gift. He must have been after the company inheritance. I swore to Jessica I wouldn't let anyone compete with our child for the family fortune. Even if she married someone else back then, I must ensure they are permanently rid of any future troubles." There was a knock on the operating room door. The hired killer's nonchalant voice sounded jarring in the quiet operating room. "Mr. Thompson, thanks for helping me fake the psychiatric evaluation so I could be released without charge. I've already taken care of that little brat for you. What about the payment you promised me?" "I'll have someone transfer $5 million to your account. Take the money and get out of Northwood City immediately. Don't ever let Sarah see you again." "Alright, hurry up with the surgery. I still need to go with Jessica to pick up the custom gift for Ryan. Oh, and remember to administer more anesthetic, don't let Sarah feel any pain." His footsteps faded away. I squeezed my eyes shut, biting down on my teeth, refusing to let tears fall. It turned out that man wasn't just the attacker engaging in a random act of violence. He was the hired killer my husband had specifically hired to put his beloved at ease. My Leo, just 3 years old, died on his birthday like this, for a trumped-up charge, in a murder meticulously planned by his own father. My body was immune to the anesthetic. Pulled instruments churned inside me, as if tearing my entire being apart. The pain made me faint. When I opened my eyes again, David Thompson was looking at me with red-rimmed eyes, his voice full of heartache. "Sarah, you're finally awake. Does it still hurt?" I was waiting outside the operating room the whole time. You don't know how scared I was. Losing Leo is the greatest pain of my life. If anything happened to you too, I wouldn't want to live. "Sarah, the doctor said your abdomen was stabbed so severely that your uterus was damaged, and you won't be able to have children in the future. But don't worry, I'll take care of you with my life forever. Being Dink is fine too." I lowered my head to look at my abdomen. The wound was stitched neatly. But the empty feeling inside reminded me that I had forever lost the right to be a mother. "Where's Leo?" I asked blankly. David Thompson said guiltily, "He's already been sent to the funeral home/mortuary for cremation. The funeral service/memorial service is tomorrow." "Sarah, I'm sorry. As a father, I failed to protect our child." My heart ached, but I didn't expose his lie. I looked at the bedside table. Inside a beautiful box, there was a custom-engraved high-end watch, symbolizing protection/longevity. "David, today is Leo's birthday. We haven't bought him a birthday gift yet. Let this custom-engraved high-end watch, symbolizing protection/longevity, accompany him. I hope he lives a long and safe life in his next life, okay?" David Thompson frowned slightly, almost imperceptibly, and said gently, "Sarah, a friend asked me to buy this for their child. How can we take something someone else cherishes? After all, this is meant for the living. Leo wouldn't need it, and he'd be sad." Besides, the material isn't valuable, it's not worthy of our Leo. I've already sent someone to the funeral supplies store to buy plenty of things for him. He won't suffer any hardship. I didn't speak, my heart filled with desolation. Having been a stay-at-home mom/housewife for so long, David Thompson had forgotten that I was once a sharp-eyed jewelry appraiser/expert gemologist. The material used for that custom-engraved high-end watch, symbolizing protection/longevity, was the most expensive type of jade, priceless/worth a fortune. The design was exquisite, engraved with the words, "May you live a long and safe life," symbolizing a parent's boundless love. For 2 full months, I had secretly watched David Thompson burying himself in the study room/home office, meticulously designing the pattern for the custom-engraved high-end watch, symbolizing protection/longevity. I had always thought it was the birthday gift he wanted to give Leo. It turned out that in his heart, the ones who were truly unworthy were my son and I. At my strong insistence, David Thompson handled my hospital discharge and took me home. He refused the help of the nanny and personally helped me wash my body and hair, carefully avoiding the wound on my abdomen. He even dried my hair himself, showing extreme marital care. Before, I was always touched by his tenderness, but looking at the hideous wound on my abdomen and thinking of Leo's tragic death, my heart held only desolation and numbness. Late at night, while David Thompson was asleep, I went to the study room/home office and logged into his cloud drive on the computer. The password was Jessica's birthday. It contained tens of thousands of photos and videos, documenting everything from Jessica's pregnancy to the birth and growth of their child. In addition, there was a prepared stock transfer agreement. For 15 years of marriage, David Thompson spent most of his time on business trips each year, supposedly to expand the market, but in reality, he was with Jessica and her son. How ridiculous that I never suspected anything. The messaging app, e.g., WhatsApp/texts, in the bottom right corner of the computer was still logged in. Clicking on it, the top pinned chat group, Our Loving Family, messaging group name, stung my eyes. Over the past 18 years, David Thompson had given Jessica and their child countless valuable gifts. David, Ryan was just born, how could he possibly drive a Maserati already? You really spoil him. Oh, and I love the sapphire necklace, mwah. David, Ryan is 3 today. The island you gave him is beautiful. You'll arrive this afternoon, right? Ryan can't wait to see his dad. And this kind of affection was something Leo and I had never experienced. I gave up a promising career future back then, married David Thompson at 20, and willingly became the woman behind him, accompanying him through thick and thin. My body was worn out, and I hadn't been able to get pregnant. He was indifferent to this. I originally thought he didn't want to put pressure on me and was grateful for his understanding. In the 15th year of our marriage, I finally got pregnant, but David Thompson wasn't as happy as I had imagined. He just gave a perfunctory smile. But seeing the photos of him kissing Jessica's pregnant belly, looking overjoyed, I finally understood that he had already had a child with someone else. And my Leo, in his eyes, was like a sudden appendix attack, something to be quickly cut out. No wonder David Thompson always claimed to be busy with work and went abroad/overseas for Leo's birthday every year. Because Leo's birthday was only 3 days apart from their child's, he had to go ahead of time to prepare, afraid his darlings would feel slighted. Heartsick, I exited the page and called Chloe, Sarah's best friend abroad. I'm willing to come work as a jewelry appraiser/expert gemologist at your company. See you in 3 days. Besides that, I also asked her to help me with a few things. After doing all this, I went to Leo's room. It was still decorated the same way. The unique milky scent of a child still lingered on the pillow, but Leo would never come back. Under the pillow, I found a wishing jar/wish bottle containing a birthday wish written by Leo's teacher. My teacher said real men are brave, so this year I finally mustered up the courage to tell Dad I wanted a birthday gift. But before I could finish, Dad got angry and walked away. Actually, I just wished Dad could spend an hour with me on my birthday. Even 30 minutes would make me really, really happy. Tears streamed down my face. David Th. Thompson, is this what you saw as ambition? After printing the divorce agreement, I hugged Leo's blanket/comforter, inhaled his scent, and cried the whole night. The next day, despite his germophobia, David Thompson personally cleaned the oozing fluid from my wound, changed the dressing, and carefully bandaged it with gauze. The nanny next to me looked envious, but my heart was like stagnant water. Seeing my swollen eyes, he was heartbroken. Sarah, I know you miss Leo. I miss him even more than you do. But you need to take care of yourself. I've already lost my dearest child, I can't lose you too. How about you rest at home today and let me handle Leo's funeral service/memorial service? Handle it? Hand it over to you, the murderer who killed his own son? Suppressing the sarcasm in my heart, I said faintly, no need. I must go and see Leo off on his final journey. When I arrived at the funeral service/memorial service site, I saw Jessica and a young man from afar, supporting Grandma Eleanor Thompson, talking intimately and making Grandma Eleanor Thompson smile brightly. In such a solemn occasion, everyone else was dressed in black. But Jessica was wearing a red high-end designer dress, and even the young man was in a dazzling red suit, keep color, significant contrast. Yet, Grandma Eleanor Thompson seemed not to notice, holding on to both of them, her eyes full of affection. Afraid they would be hot, she even had a servant stand beside them to hold an umbrella, as if they were her daughter-in-law and grandson. Seeing me, Jessica curved her lips and said sarcastically, "Auntie, I'm not hot. Sarah is here, and the sun is strong. Why not give her the umbrella? After all, she's not like me, her child is dead and she's injured, she needs care." Hearing this, Grandma Eleanor Thompson looked at me with a look of disgust and contempt. "It's just an ungrateful person/traitor who died, what's the big deal? Who are you trying to impress with your eyes like that? You're just p." Red ending, completely disregarding the dignity of our Thompson family. Even Jessica and Ryan are more thoughtful than you. They were worried I'd be tired, so they rushed here right after their flight, and they even gave me a valuable diamond bracelet. They are so much better than you heartless wretch. Grandma Eleanor Thompson had always disliked me. She thought I wasn't worthy of David Thompson. And because I hadn't had children for over a decade, she called me someone who couldn't give him children. Later, when we had Leo, she disliked that he always stood up for me, thinking he was favoring outsiders over family/siding against one's own and an ungrateful person/traitor. Before, David Thompson would defend me a few times, but now his eyes were fixed on Jessica, with a look of infatuation as if she were a rare treasure. Jessica subtly gave me a provocative smile and quickly supported Grandma Eleanor Thompson. "Auntie, you're old now, you shouldn't get angry. If you don't mind, Ryan can be your grandson from now on." Grandma Eleanor Thompson was instantly overjoyed and kept praising her for being thoughtful. Jessica walked up to me with the young man, smiling and greeting me. "Long time no see, Sarah. I'm so sorry, Ryan and I just rushed back from abroad/overseas and didn't have time to change. You're so generous, you won't be angry, right?" "Oh, right, this is my son, Ryan Thompson." Ryan Thompson's face resembled David Thompson's by about 50 or 60%. He glanced at me dismissively and said arrogantly, "Hey lady, you're really ugly." Then, he expertly extended his hand to David Thompson. "Dad, didn't you say you'd give us gifts when Mom and I came back? My 18th birthday party/coming of age celebration is the day after tomorrow. Last year you only gave me 99 gifts, this year I want 100. Facing his humiliation of me, David Thompson completely ignored it. He stroked his head helplessly and dotingly, "Got it." After saying that, he took out the CU Stom engraved high-end watch, symbolizing protection/longevity, and put it on Ryan Thompson, his expression full of paternal love. As if that wasn't enough, David Thompson snapped his fingers, and over a dozen brightly colored sports cars drove up outside the funeral home/mortuary. "Here, Dad knows you like bright colors. These are all for you." Jessica wrinkled her nose and clung to David Thompson's arm, whining, "David, where's mine? You can't just favor your son." David Thompson dotingly flicked her nose, "Of course I wouldn't forget you." Then, two people got out of each car, carrying over 30 sets of jewelry. The styles, designs, and materials varied, but the only thing they had in common was their high value. One set, in particular, was steeped in history, rumored to have been worn by royalty. Jessica happily kissed his cheek, looking as charming and youthful as a girl. "Wow, weren't these from that royal auction in Europe the day before yesterday? The cheapest set was over 100 million. You bought them all for me? David, you really do spoil Ryan and me. But won't Sarah be angry that you spent so much?" Leo's funeral service/memorial service had been turned into a blatant display of luxury sports cars and jewelry by them. Compared to Jessica, who was wrapped in glamour and wearing perfect makeup, I, in my old-fashioned black suit, with no makeup and eyes swollen like walnuts, looked increasingly like a ridiculous dowdy/worn-out wife. Not to mention, the things David Thompson had given Leo over the years weren't even a fraction of the cost of one of Ryan Thompson's sports cars. It was laughable, truly, utterly laughable. Only then did David Thompson realize I was still there. He explained awkwardly, Sarah, don't overthink it. Jessica and Ryan are used to being abroad/overseas. That was just a formality. You heard it just now, Mom accepted Ryan as her grandson, so it's normal for him to call me Dad. The child is having his birthday, I just wanted to how my affection. And that watch was also. Before he could finish, Jessica stumbled and fell into his arms, saying weakly, David, I feel so dizzy, I think I have heat stroke. David Thompson immediately let go of me and quickly held her, asking with concern, how could this happen? I built you that summer estate/villa precisely because I was afraid you'd get hot. You should have rested there, why did you insist on coming to this dreadful place? Come on, I'll carry you to rest. With that, he ignored the fact that Leo's ashes/remains hadn't even been buried yet, and walked away carrying Jessica. Enduring the mockery of the surrounding people, I picked up Leo's urn alone. It's okay, my precious. Even if Dad doesn't love you, you still have Mom. But before I could place the urn into the grave/plot, Ryan Thompson shoved me hard, knocking me down. The urn shattered, and Leo's ashes/remains scattered onto the ground. Hey lady, are you blind? Why are you bumping into people? This outfit is a limited edition my dad bought me. If that short-lived brat's ashes/remains get on it, can you afford to pay for it? How unlucky. Not only did Ryan Thompson show no remorse, but he even twisted the facts. Grinning, he took out a water bottle filled with cigarette butts. Hey lady, don't say I don't pity you. Use this to hold your son's ashes/remains. Ignoring his taunts, I hoped Grandma Eleanor Thompson would help me buy another urn. I needed to protect Leo's ashes/remains. Unexpectedly, Grandma Eleanor Thompson raised her eyebrows and said harshly, what are you looking at? If you weren't so useless, would the box have broken? I think the water bottle is perfectly fine. Don't expect me to spend money on an ungrateful person/traitor. Alright, bury him quickly, I need to get back to play cards/play bridge. Ryan Thompson kicked me away and had someone shovel the ashes/remains into the dirty water bottle, threw it into the grave/plot, and then sealed the grave. I was so angry my fists clenched tight. How could they treat Leo like this? Turning around to find David Thompson, I saw him and Jessica engaged in sexual activity, in front of Leo's mourning hall/wake site. David, Ryan is growing up, it's inevitable he'll be lonely. I want to have another child for you. David Thompson hesitated, Jessica, all these years, to keep your husband from finding out, you've kept Ryan hidden away. I've already made you and your son live separately and suffer a lot. How can I put you through more? And this is Leo's mourning hall/wake site, after all. We can't. Jessica reached for him/touched him intimately, her voice seductive. David, for you, I'm willing to endure any hardship. He's rarely home, he won't find out. I've never done it in a mourning hall/wake site before. Don't you want to try? You've been tired these past 2 days, I'll take good care of you. The veins on David Thompson's forehead bulged. He couldn't control himself anymore and lowered his head to kiss her. The scene became increasingly unbearable. Trembling, I recorded it all, then turned and ran out, collapsing in front of Leo's tombstone. My whole body shook uncontrollably. David Thompson, Leo's picture was hanging right above your heads. How could you dare? The crowd had long dispersed. No one cared about me or my Leo. I quietly shed tears while arranging candles at the memorial display/candle arrangement, to be kicked over, feeling like these past 15 years of marriage were a joke. The memorial display/candle arrangement, to be kicked over, was suddenly kicked over. Sparks/candles splattered onto my hand, jolting me with the burn. Jessica suddenly appeared, smiling like a victor. Sarah, wasn't it exciting watching David and me engaged in sexual activity, in front of your son's mourning hall/wake site? No matter how much you mourn, your short-lived son isn't coming back. If you had just remained unable to have children, I wouldn't have bothered with you. But you why dared to have a child with David? No one will ever steal a single penny from my son. The Thompson family's fortune belongs to Ryan and me. David loves me the most. To put my mind at ease, he was even willing to kill your son. To be a woman like you is truly shameful. If I were you, I'd just smash my head against a wall and die right now. Unable to bear it any longer, I stood up. Just as I raised my hand, Jessica suddenly fell backward down the stone steps. Before I could react, a large hand shoved me violently, knocking me down, and caught Jessica. David Thompson held Jessica and yelled furiously at me, Sarah, are you insane? Who told you to lay a hand on Jessica? Before I could explain, Jessica said tearfully, David, I just wanted to come and comfort Sarah, but she accused me of deliberately wearing a red dress to bring her bad luck. She wanted to push me down and kill me, making me bury myself with Leo. She even said she would hire someone to put a curse/hex on someone to turn Leo into a vengeful spirit/ghost to bite me to death. Sob sob sob, I'm also so sad about losing Leo. I rushed here right after my flight. I was just worried and wasn't thinking straight, I didn't have time to change. David, you know I'm timid. I'm really scared, sob sob sob. David Thompson's face darkened, and he looked at me angrily. It was your own bad luck to run into the attacker, later revealed as a hired killer, and drag Leo into it. Jessica was worried you'd be sad and blame yourself, so she came here with good intentions to comfort you. It's one thing not to appreciate it, but why would you push her? What's wrong with wearing red? Jessica said she didn't do it on purpose. Maybe Leo even liked bright colors. Why are you so petty? And you would actually use Leo to curse Jessica? Your child is dead and you won't even let him rest in peace? What kind of heartless mother are you? I dragged Leo into it? I'm petty? I'm heartless? Crying, I pointed at Leo's tombstone and yelled, David Thompson, you think I'm heartless? Then do you have a clear conscience? Do you dare to stand before Leo and tell him why he died? And what kind of surgery did you tell the doctor to perform on his mother? David Thompson frowned and said, what are you rambling about? Of course, he died tragically because you didn't protect Leo properly. As for that surgery, was I wrong to beg the doctor to save your life? Sarah, I think you really need to get your head checked. Stop feigning ignorance/playing dumb here and apologize to Jessica immediately. Jessica put her arms around his neck and feigned weakness. It's okay, David. Although Sarah wanted to hurt me, she did lose her child. Let's be generous. My foot hurts so much, I must have sprained it just now. Please carry me to the hospital, okay? David Thompson looked at me with extreme disappointment and turned to leave without hesitation. Jessica raised her head and silently mouthed, contemptuously and provocatively, loser. Watching their backs, I knew my relationship with David Thompson was completely over. I bought a new urn and asked the cemetery staff to help me retrieve Leo's ashes/remains. I carefully placed them inside and then left, holding the urn. My Leo didn't need such a ridiculous funeral service/memorial service. My Leo didn't need such a heartless father either. Back home, I gave the nanny an extended leave. David Thompson called. Sarah, are you home? Don't worry, Jessica's foot is fine. I was wrong today, I shouldn't have said those things to you when you were hurting. I didn't mean it. But the stone steps were so high. If Jessica had fallen and something happened to her, what would Ryan do? We've already lost a child, I just couldn't bear to see Ryan lose his mother too. Ryan is just a child. I'm his godfather, after all, and friends with Jessica. It's only right for me to take care of him. Don't overthink it. I said flatly, I know. It's fine. You take good care of T. My wife is so understanding. Didn't Leo always want to see the ocean? I booked the plane tickets. We'll leave the day after tomorrow. It'll do you good to get away. Even though Leo is gone, as parents, we should fulfill his wish for him. Wait for me to come back and pick you up. The whole night, Jessica kept sending me messages on the messaging app, e.g., WhatsApp/texts. To compensate her and make Ryan Thompson happy, David Thompson bought a private jet and flew them to Las Vegas for a shopping spree that very night. And my Leo, 3 years couldn't earn him even one trip to the ocean with his father. Sarah, what can you possibly compare with me? If I can't compare, then I won't. The next day, David Thompson still didn't return. Jessica kept sending me more and more photos and videos, even videos of her and David Thompson engaged in sexual activity, with various objects. I didn't reply. I just packed up all my and Leo's belongings and donated them. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, David Thompson finally remembered me and sent a message. Sarah, sorry, something came up at the company. I'll have Mike, David's assistant, pick you up and take you to the airport. I'm heading over now. But he didn't know that Jessica had just sent me another video a minute before. Today was Ryan Thompson's birthday. David Thompson had booked the most luxurious hotel to host his 18th birthday party/coming-of-age celebration. In the video, he was putting a pink diamond necklace the size of a pigeon egg around Jessica's neck and lightly kissing her forehead. Jessica, thank you for giving me such a wonderful son. You are a hero to our family. I didn't reply. After blocking both him and Jessica, I put the divorce agreement and a USB drive into an envelope/file bag and sent it by courier to the hotel. After leaving Leo's wish note on the table, I picked up Leo's ashes/remains, took one last resolute look at the house I had lived in for over a decade, and left for the airport. Goodbye, David Thompson. At the hotel, David Thompson had just announced that Ryan Thompson would be his heir and was about to sign the stock transfer agreement. Mike, David's assistant, suddenly ran in, his face pale, holding the envelope/file bag. He leaned into David Thompson's ear, his voice trembling. Mr. Thompson, it's bad news. The madam just took a flight heading abroad/overseas, and that flight crashed. The pen dropped from David Thompson's hand. He stared blankly at Mike, David's assistant, unable to process what he had just heard. Jessica quickly picked up the pen and put it back in David Thompson's hand. David, what's wrong? Hurry up and sign. The guests are watching. But David Thompson shoved her away, pulled Mike, David's assistant, aside, and frowned, asking, "What nonsense are you talking about? Sarah and I plan to go see the ocean. I haven't even gotten there yet, how could she possibly get on a plane by herself? Besides, he didn't tell Sarah they were going abroad/overseas." Mike, David's assistant, quickly handed him the envelope/file bag he was holding. "Mr. Thompson, this was just delivered by courier. It's from the madam. Please take a look." David Thompson quickly opened the bag and found a signed divorce agreement and a USB drive inside. He stared at the line for the wife's name in disbelief. Sarah wanted to divorce him? David Thompson instinctively pulled out his phone and saw that Sarah hadn't replied to his messages from earlier until now. In 18 years of marriage, from a naive young man to a middle-aged man in his 40s, Sarah had replied to his messages almost instantly, day after day, for years. This had never happened before. David Thompson felt a growing unease. He quickly sent Sarah a message. "Sarah, where are you? Why aren't you replying? Sarah, what is this divorce agreement? It's not April Fool's Day, don't joke like this." The next second, he saw the red exclamation mark and his eyes widened. Sarah had blocked him. When he called, it just went straight to voicemail. She had probably blocked his calls too. But why? An unprecedented panic seized David Thompson. He turned to leave but was grabbed by Jessica. "David, Ryan's 18th birthday party/coming-of-age celebration isn't over yet. Didn't you say you were giving him the company today? Where are you going?" Sarah's plane crashed. "I have to go see." Jessica glanced at the divorce agreement and sneered. "Sarah wants to divorce you? I really underestimated her cunning. Isn't she just jealous because you stood up for me that day? She's using fake death and divorce to threaten you, isn't she? She just wants you to go back to her. How despicable. Today is Ryan's 18th birthday party/coming-of-age celebration. Her own son is dead, so now she wants to bring bad luck to our Ryan?" Ryan Thompson took the USB drive, a look of disdain on his face. "Dad, I've dealt with plenty of women like this. They pretend to break up or threaten suicide, then turn around and post sad messages on their social media feed, e.g., Instagram/Facebook feed, maybe with a crying selfie. It's all just to keep the man hooked, playing hard to get. Ugly people just cause trouble." Jessica laughed. "Exactly. My Ryan is so smart, he can spot a manipulative woman, feigning innocence, a mile away." Watching the mother and son laughing together, David Thompson frowned. This was the second time Ryan Thompson had insulted Sarah. He had originally thought it was because the child was young and spoke his mind. But Jessica was an adult, wasn't she? Not only did she fail to teach her child proper values, she even encouraged his behavior. Was this the way a mother should act? Sarah would never be like this. Leo was raised to be very polite. A sudden wave of revulsion washed over David Thompson. Looking at Jessica again, the feeling of attraction he had felt before was gone. Just as he was about to speak, Ryan Thompson, as if to prove himself right, displayed contents of the USB drive on the large screen/projector screen. There was only one audio recording inside. Hearing that voice, David Thompson's face instantly turned ashen. I confess everything. Mr. Thompson gave me $5 million and instructed me to pretend to be the attacker and stab Miss Sarah and Leo, preferably killing the little brat outright, because he wanted to clear the way for the child he had with Jessica, who was about to turn 18. When I went to collect the money, I even heard him telling the doctor to remove Miss Sarah's uterus." David Thompson's mind buzzed. He pulled Ryan Thompson, who was standing frozen, aside and urgently glanced at the audio recording state. 3 days ago. David Thompson stumbled back 2 steps in a daze. So, Sarah had known everything that early on. So, she had planned to leave him all along? He had thought his secret was perfectly hidden. David Thompson couldn't even begin to imagine how desperate Sarah must have felt at the moment she learned the truth. Why did things turn out this way? This was completely different from what he had originally planned. He had originally thought that by giving the company to Ryan Thompson, he would make up for his debt to Jessica and her son, and then spend the rest of his life properly staying with Sarah. The whole place erupted in an uproar. After the shock, the guests began to cast scornful glances. I knew it. Why would President Thompson give his company to an outsider for no reason? It turns out that's his illegitimate son. To kill his legitimate son for a low-life mistress/other woman and an illegitimate son. I refuse to believe Jessica didn't know. How shameless. I heard she took her son and wore red to attend someone else's child's funeral service/memorial service, and had the nerve to say she didn't have time to change. Did she think everyone was an idiot? How long does it take to buy something black on the side of the road? She was obviously trying to provoke Sarah. Getting a benefit and still acting innocent, doesn't she fear retribution? The voices grew louder and louder. Jessica's face became paler and paler, and she looked at David Thompson with teary eyes. David, they're slandering me. Please say something for me. But David Thompson, who had always defended her, now looked like he had lost his soul. He didn't even glance at her and turned to walk out the door. He kept muttering to himself, Sarah wouldn't leave me. She'll be all right. I have to go find her. Grandma Eleanor Thompson suddenly appeared and blocked his path. Grandma Eleanor Thompson looked at him with a face full of displeasure. Where are you going? I already heard that unlucky woman died. That cheap good-for-nothing, I never liked her anyway. It's fine that she's dead. Perfect. Ryan is your biological son, and I'm very fond of him. You should just marry Jessica and her son into the family. David Thompson was taken aback. Mom, what are you talking about? Jessica has her own husband. Why would I marry her? Didn't Jessica tell you? She was never actually married. There were reasons why she went abroad/overseas back then. All these years have passed, and she's raised such a big son for you. Don't dwell on the past, marry her into the family. Jessica coyly took David Thompson's hand. David, for you, any hardship I endure is worth it. Sarah doesn't deserve you, and she couldn't give you children. We are the perfect match. Since she's dead, then we can. Unexpectedly, David Thompson flung her hand away and looked at her coldly. Hardship? What hardship have you endured? Over the years, I spent several times more time with you than with Sarah. The gifts I gave you, the money I gave you, Sarah never received any of it. Yet she never complained once. Because of you, Sarah lost her child and will never be able to bear children again. It's bad enough you feel no guilt, but how dare you say she doesn't deserve me? The one who truly suffered was Sarah. What hardship have you possibly endured? Jessica, what happened between us is in the past. Whether you're married or not is none of my business. I have a clear conscience regarding you. Sarah is my wife, and she is not dead. Furthermore, I never knew you would raise Ryan to be such a spoiled rich kid/entitled brat. The stock transfer agreement is off. Don't let me hear you speak ill of Sarah again, not one word, or don't blame me for being ruthless. He then looked at Grandma Eleanor Thompson, his words carrying a hidden threat. Mom, you're old now. Stick to play cards/play bridge. Don't meddle in my affairs, unless you want to experience living on only the minimum state-mandated support/alimony each month. With that, David Thompson didn't spare them another glance and stormed out of the hotel without looking back. David Thompson rushed home like a madman, only to collapse onto the floor at the sight before him. Sarah had cleaned out all her and Leo's things, unwilling to leave him anything to remember them by. Only a small note was left on the table, containing Leo's birthday wish. David Thompson still remembered Leo timidly asking him that day, Daddy, can I have a birthday gift this year? At the time, his mind was entirely focused on Jessica and Ryan Thompson. He thought Leo, at such a young age, had such huge ambition, and he was so angry that he refused to listen to the rest of what the child said and just walked away. It turned out Leo's wish was so simple, so humble. He also never knew that child loved him so much, even though he had never once given him a smile. In comparison, Ryan Thompson did nothing but constantly demand money and sports cars from him. David Thompson lowered his head in despair and fiercely slapped himself. What had he done? The driven/successful executive in the business world now looked so utterly pathetic. Mike, David's assistant, s face showed reluctance. He said softly, Mr. Thompson, I just asked the rescue team. They still haven't found the madam. Falling into the sea from that height, and with so much time passed, the madam might. Before he could finish, David Thompson interrupted him, his eyes red. Impossible. Sarah isn't dead. We promised forever. She wouldn't leave me alone. But would she really not? David Thompson remembered when they were first married, the company faced a crisis. Partners canceled contracts one after another, and he was swamped, practically living at the office. Sarah ran around trying to help him keep the partners, but she was often turned away. In the dead of winter, she stood outside their door the whole night, holding a gift box, until they agreed to see her. She managed to keep that partner, but she collapsed on her way back, which left her with lasting health issues and made it difficult to get pregnant. David Thompson, who rushed to the hospital upon hearing the news, saw Sarah's pale face, felt immense guilt, and crying and apologizing to her. But Sarah hugged him and smiled. "What is this? We're husband and wife, we should stand together/face it together. But David Thompson, if one day you betray me, I will leave you completely and never look back." At that time, he already knew about Ryan Thompson's existence, and he was terrified. He swore he would hide this secret for a lifetime. But Sarah, in the end, found out. Mike, David's assistant, paused, then placed the laptop he was holding in front of David Thompson. "Mr. Thompson," the cemetery called. "They said the madam picked up the young master's ashes/remains the day before yesterday. I was curious, so I looked into some things. I think you should see this." So David Thompson saw everything that happened on the day of Leo's funeral service/memorial service. His heart ached so much he couldn't breathe. He hadn't known Sarah had suffered so much. And when she needed him most, he was with Jessica, and Sarah had seen it. Afterward, he had even believed Jessica's side of the story and Joe into and mistreating Sarah. Meanwhile, Mike, David's assistant, had followed the clues and found the chat records between Jessica and Sarah. After reading them, David Thompson was silent for a long time, looking as if he had aged 10 years. After a while, he said in a hoarse voice, "Issue a statement. Sever ties between my mother and me, and state that Ryan Thompson has no connection to the Thompson family. Sue anyone who dares to spread rumors. Effective immediately, stop all monthly financial support to Jessica and her son. At the same time, have people recover all previously gifted assets. If Jessica refuses to return them, use ruthless methods/hardball tactics. I don't care if she ends up crippled or dead. She forced Sarah to leave me. She will pay the price." Mike, David's assistant, was startled. This would make Ryan Thompson an illegitimate son with no father. After Mike, David's assistant, left, the doctor suddenly called. "Mr. Thompson, how is the madam's wound healing? Remember to schedule regular checkups at the hospital. She won't be going." "What?" David Thompson's voice choked. "Sarah found out the truth about Leo's death and that surgery. She wanted to leave me, but her plane crashed." The doctor was silent for a moment, then sighed. "Mr. Thompson, there's something I haven't told you. The day I performed the surgery on the madam, her mouth was bleeding constantly. When I examined her, I found her teeth were broken. I originally thought that person did it, but hearing you say this, she must have been immune to the anesthetic and didn't want you to realize she heard everything. She must have bitten them off herself. I can't imagine how much pain she was in." David Thompson covered his face in agony. "Stop talking. Please, stop. Please don't remind me of what a monster I was, and how important what I lost was." But the doctor wouldn't stop. "Mr. Thompson, if there's no news from the rescue team, it could be a good thing. I believe someone as strong as the madam wouldn't die so easily. But I'm also certain that whether she's alive or dead, she will never forgive you." After hanging up, David Thompson seemed to have lost his soul entirely. Yet, tears streamed endlessly from his eyes. After a while, he stared blankly out the window and murmured, "Yes, Sarah, you're so strong. How could you possibly die so easily? But where are you?" At that time, I had already landed in Canada, fictional Western country, and started working at Chloe, Sarah's best friend abroad, S company. Chloe, Sarah's best friend abroad, S family had always been involved in illicit business/underworld operations. In the past 2 years, they wanted to legitimize operations/go legitimate and established a jewelry company. She was overjoyed when she heard I was willing to help. I had asked her to arrange that plane crash. At the same time, I asked her to use her influence in Northwood City to help me find the hired killer from that day and record the audio recording. After properly burying Leo, I threw myself completely into my work. Only then could I forget everything that had happened as quickly as possible. I hadn't intentionally followed the news from Northwood City, but the trending topics/headline news were too prominent to ignore. David Thompson had severed ties with his mother, giving her only the minimum state-mandated support/alimony each month and refusing her requests to meet. He had recovered everything he had given Jessica and vehemently denied that Ryan Thompson was his son. Ryan Thompson was spoiled rotten. When his standard of living plummeted, he committed home invasion/burglary and was arrested and jailed. The reason Jessica had given birth to Ryan Thompson was to constantly extort money from David Thompson. Now that her dream was shattered, and having been unemployed for years with no skills, she lost her financial source in David Thompson and resorted to selling her body/prostitution. Unfortunately, she wasn't ing anymore. Her leg was also broken by debt collectors, and her income was minimal. On one occasion, she got into an argument with the client because they couldn't agree on a price and was stabbed to death on the bed. Besides jewelry appraisal/expert gemologist, I also developed a strong interest in jewelry design. Chloe, Sarah's best friend abroad, fully supported my choice and proactively introduced me to several prominent figures in the jewelry design industry to teach me. In less than a month, I designed a necklace set with the theme of motherhood, naming it Angel. In every mother's heart, their children are angels. Chloe, Sarah's best friend abroad, submitted my angel design to a jewelry exhibition. I thought no one would buy it. But that day, I received news that someone had purchased Angel for 10 times the price, just to meet the designer. That's how I saw David Thompson again. In just half a year, he had aged so much. His originally black hair was even streaked with silver. Seeing him, I instinctively frowned and wanted to turn and leave. Sarah, wait. I turned and looked at him indifferently. David Thompson, you should know that you are the last person I ever want to see in this life. David Thompson's eyes filled with loss, and he nodded awkwardly. I understand. I saw Leo's birthday wish, and I know I committed an unforgivable sin. I just wanted to see you. As long as I know you're alive, I'm content. Sarah, are you doing well? I laughed sarcastically, without Mr. Thompson around to harm me. Of course I'm doing well. If you never show up again, I'll do even better. David Thompson's face turned gray, and he couldn't speak for a long time. After a moment, he gave a bitter smile. I knew you would say that, but I was always unwilling to give up, always thinking I had a chance. But seeing your eyes, I know I've lost you forever. Sarah, don't worry. I won't bother you again. For me, you plucked out your own feathers, working tirelessly for over a decade. This life, I failed you, and I failed our Leo. I will give you both justice. From now on, please fly free. I will always wish you well. With that, he turned and stumbled away. Only the spot where he had just stood remained damp. A week later, a huge sum of money was transferred into my account. At the same time, the news of David Thompson's surrender made the trending topic/headline news in Northwood City, and the man who pretended to be the attacker, later revealed as a hired killer, was also imprisoned with him. A few days later, news came that David Thompson had committed suicide in prison. When he died, he was tightly clutching the angel necklace in his hand. No one knew how he managed to get the necklace in, but it didn't matter anymore. Upon receiving the news, I gently stroked Leo's photo. My angel finally rests in peace. The end.